We are live. This is the market update. Happy Independence Day. Independence from what? Sovereigns, tech bros, everybody out there who wants to hold you down. Did I mention BlackRock too? Right now, they're scooping up everybody's crypto because they don't want you to be free. And you know what? On Independence Day, guess what? You get to decide. You decide who's independent, who's sovereign, and who's free. And by the way, for anybody overseas who doesn't know what Independence Day is, or July 4th, this is when the United States told England in a very eloquent, famous document that we have the right to form a country the way we want to form a country, which of course is vastly different from the uniparty horse manure that we have now. And of course, that led to a conflict. And I'll say it, all right, this holiday is brought to you by men with guns, because that's how we got independent. Now, are we going to do that today? No, we don't have to do that today. Why? Because we have crypto. And we have crypto on sale, just like at the retailers in America. It's a big July 4th extravaganza because the big, beautiful bill is supposedly a sell the fact event. Name me the last sell the fact event that's actually worked. Buy the fact has worked, like tariffs and World War Z. But everyone wants to sell the fact because that's all fancy Twitter nonsense, right? The orange man is distracting everyone with the tariff talk to keep everyone not looking at the fact that they're going to have to borrow $3 trillion over the next 6 months. I saw one estimate that said that. Now, who's going to buy all that? Who's going to buy all those bonds? Because that's how we borrow the money. Well, that's easy. The Fed's going to have to inject massive amounts of money into the system in order for that to happen. Not M2 necessarily, but I'm talking about the high-powered money. And they're going to have to get stable coins into overdrive. And quite possibly the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve to make sure that in case there's a problem with the treasuries, they can back them with Bitcoin. RFKJ talked about doing that. And the orange man has said that Bitcoin helps take pressure off the dollar. In many ways, you've been told. And I wonder if these Satoshi era wallets that are waking up could be sovereigns. I asked our friendly neighborhood clairvoyant about it. She says it could be miners. And why would some ancient party wake up and suddenly sell their Bitcoin? Who's the buyer? Could it be Uncle Sugar himself? We got to be free. We have to be independent. Everybody wants to go out and form a third political party. Really? What are they going to call it? The Tech Bro Party? The Mars Party? These guys own us. Our freedom outside of your wallet with your keys is an illusion, which is why I'm an antivirus guy until the end, because I'm going to be right about that. I mean, you can see McAfee on Twitter, not posted by the project, just posted by random people. The project put a bunch of McAfee shorts out on TikTok, and everyone's running with it. Why? Because he was right about everything. And here's the great news. We're early. People are just now starting to figure out. I mean, what kind of a system do they have to spend $3 trillion in sugar to get $150 billion for a border security initiative? To get $150 billion, they had to hand out $3 trillion. And amazingly, as soon as the orange man gets done signing it, they sell the market, or someone manipulates the market lower. Again, as my colleague says, wobbling, right? It's a great call on her part. Doesn't make it easy to talk on TV every day. But then again, are you independent? Is the country independent? Probably not, even though I'm a super patriotic guy and I want to put on a red, white, and blue shirt and go barbecue. I'm that kind of guy. The simple fact of the matter is, as one guy said last night, this kid is like my new hero, right? I could never do the monologue the way he did the monologue, but I'm giving you the crypto version. Independence is your Coinbase account. Independence is your Bitcoin wallet, right? Your cold wallet. Independence is a privacy coin. Independence is antivirus. Independence is getting involved in this before Uncle Sugar and Silicon Valley start moving the world around so it can be the way they want it. What we're going to do on this show is we're going to move it around so we can get it the way you want it. So if you wonder why you should watch this show, you're going to get the news that you need to understand, and then you're going to get the charts. And you know what? We're going to go over Bitcoin Cash because there's a rumor out there that all this Satoshi era Bitcoin that's moving around is Roger Ver. Wow. Right? Roger Ver was the guy who founded Bitcoin Cash, who was subsequently persecuted and pushed overseas, so afraid he had to give up his citizenship to get away from those who would do him harm. Now, we're going to go over whether or not that's Roger Ver or not. And if you haven't heard the news, $10 billion worth of Bitcoin from Satoshi era wallets just woke up and started moving around. Now, if it's not Roger Ver, and you're going to have to stay tuned to find out whether it is or not, right? One trick that they've used repeatedly. First, they used the Germans selling Bitcoin. They used that to try to scare you. That was 58K. Now, when it's up here at 110, they're trying to trick you with, coins being moved around, and this sell the fact mentality. What would happen if they were standing down there to take it all, and to sell the fact thing was yet another trap. Yet another trap. You become independent, honestly, when you stop falling for this baloney where they put red ink on the tape. Yeah, I know it's the holiday surprise, this whipping up and down. First time I've seen that. But there's no way I'm giving up my sovereignty. There's no way I'm giving up my independence, especially since I live in a country that I love, but it's owned by other people. And the point that I'll add to it is that those people, they could be anti-human. That's Peter Thiel, right? And the best way to fight back against the tech bros and all these other people is crypto, because you know what? They can't take that away from you. Like antivirus, they can shadow ban the Twitter feeds. They can do whatever they want, but they can't shut down Solana. They can't shut down Solana, right? That coin and that message. And of course, you can have your coin and your message. Michael Saylor has his coin, right? That is Independence Day. That is why you're here. That's why you're in the YouTube member area listening to our friendly neighborhood psychic combined with your friendly neighborhood analyst to produce a product seen nowhere else in crypto. Nowhere else in crypto. Okay? And she will tell you what you need to survive to make it to 2050. As a matter of fact, she published the How to Survive Out Until 2050 handbook because she wrote a book, which is Hackers versus Hedge Funds. John McAfee would love the book, and so will you. We'll show you the website later. You can scan that QR code and get yourself some sovereignty for $9. Okay, that's my Nick imitation. I'm going to try to extend that out. I don't know how long I made it there, but yeah, that's my Nick imitation. Wow, good morning, Bill. Alexandra in Switzerland, a member for 6 months. What a champion. What a champion getting up on a holiday weekend. It's not their holiday, but what a champ. So what is it, 3:30 in the morning in Switzerland? Strong. Hal Lopez from Portugal, another guy up at 3:30 in the morning. Bull Runner in the house. Knox Bill, what's up? Lock Sync, Philip Kohler, Mike and Pal, Felix, 4th of July. Dude, if I could have a beer and a burger with you, I would. But instead, we are streaming, we are charting. While they're partying, we're streaming. Baba Fu, what's up? You are in. Ariana, hello. Hello. Requiem 272. What's up? What's up? Okay. DGen Joe, a member. Tybor, hello from Hungary. More people up in the middle of the night. DGen Joe, listening in the car on a road trip to Byron Bay, Australia. The kids say hello. It's always fascinated me. Like, people will say, I never think of it, right? It's me, it's Eagle King, it's Tobie, it's the camera. And then I hear what people do with the content. Like, one guy listened to it in a UPS truck in Brooklyn. One guy listened to it at the Amsterdam airport. One guy's listening to it on a road trip in Australia. And friends, we appreciate your business, your viewership. And if you think this show is good, wait till you see the one with me and Tobie in the YouTube member area. It's really easy for me to be an analyst when you have a colleague that's never wrong about anything. And she tells me about it all the time, but that is okay. That is all good. That helps you be free. And if you don't read that book, you're crazy. You're crazy, because it's awesome and it's the manual for your future. And it's entertaining, by the way. It's not a textbook, obviously. It's cool. She's a professional writer. You should check it out. So the Orange Man gets the big, beautiful bill. Frankly, congratulations to the Orange Man for getting anything out of Congress. You know, he should say, thank you for the big, beautiful bill. Now, you are all disbanded. And on Independence Day, ironically, I'm going to become the king. We're going to go in reverse. Happy 250th anniversary. I'm the king, and you and the lobbyists that control you are all fired. I'd be okay with that. Now, that said, they got to borrow $3 trillion. So, you know, stealth bomber flying over the White House. Stealth bomber is why Americans don't have free healthcare, right? It's $2 billion back in the 80s. Okay, so J.D. Vance, the most memeable politician in history, says this is the beginning of the golden age. Okay, well, obviously, as a patriotic American, I hope it is. But it could also be a uniparty sugar fest. And the golden era that it brings in is the golden era of Bitcoin, the golden era of privacy, the golden era of human beings telling these characters what they should go do with themselves. And it could also become the golden age of the crazy left, right? Like Zoran for mayor. Like, they're so afraid of him in New York City. Let me stop this for a second. They are so afraid of this guy that won the Democratic primary in New York City. Two things are happening. One influencer I know, his name is Scott, he's losing his mind because they're so afraid of him that the Democrats and the Republicans in New York City, of course, led by tech bro and hedge fund money, are throwing support behind the current mayor, who was at the helm and pushing a button when they brought all these people into the city and literally ruined it, possibly forever. That's how afraid they are of this other guy. And you know what? If that other guy wins, or even if he gets traction, mind share, he will make us all rich. But you're going to have your keys. You're going to have privacy, and it's going to have to be secure, which is why you should continue to watch this show. It's an era of a golden age, all right. It's our golden age. Now, meanwhile, back at the Reality Ranch, Microsoft, 9,000 people, and supposedly there's a lot more queued up. Everybody's got somewhere between 5 and 10 to go. Now, in tech, what's this really all about? Like characters like this are like Silicon Valley investor says AI will replace 80%, blah, 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 blah. Okay, right. Okay, so chatbots aren't doing anybody's job now, and I don't know if chatbots are going to be doing anybody's job in 2 years. What I do know is this. There's probably going to be only one winner in AI. Just like there's only one Google, there's Microsoft Office, right? There's one winner. Winner take all. I learned about it in technology economics in school. And of course, everyone running these companies knows that. They know that, right? There's only one Facebook, Instagram. There's only one Twitter, right? There's only one. So who's going to be the one? Well, and one company is spending like, they don't care. It's like, okay, can you program AI? Okay, great. 50 million for you. You have a friend? Okay, 50 million for him. Is there a startup over there? Boom, I'll pay 32 billion. No? Okay. What about Perplexity? Okay, we'll pay 50 billion for Perplexity. Right? One of these companies is trying to raise money, and they're trying to raise money because they want to buy Perplexity. They're just going to pay any price. So one company's going to cut costs because, again, business is so great, right? Microsoft just made a new all-time high. They just ramped all these stocks massively, right? Bitcoin languishes and everyone's doing sell the fact. Meanwhile, they're just ramping all these companies that maybe outside of NVIDIA, I don't think this AI thing is profitable yet. Now, even if, no matter what I said, whether it's right or wrong, here's the thing. They are sacrificing people for machines now. They got to build Skynet and the Terminators now, right? It's not about what AI creates with job losses. Who knows? People may be more productive and the human race may become massively more productive. You may need just as many or more people connected with chatbots, and you may have a growth mushroom in 2030. You don't know. Could there be a dystopia? Yeah, but you've heard that. The problem is what's going on now. The tech bros are going to build at any price. And of course, that's going to be at the expense of humans. The Fed, despite what they're telling you, is way behind the curve on this. Like, how many of these do they have to have before they wake up? And amazingly, we're selling Bitcoin today as Uncle Sugar queues up $3 trillion in borrowing as tech companies are showing everyone the door. Amazing. It's like a mirage. It's like the type of BS McAfee protested his whole life. His whole life. 70% of the tariffs are going through consumers through higher prices, warns big scary bank. None of this is happening. Everybody's sold on this whole tariff thing, and it's a distraction. And I know from work I presented in 2017, which is tariff talk goes up, Bitcoin sits still. Tariff talk eventually drops, Bitcoin goes completely parabolic. So we'll let him talk about tariffs for a week, 2 weeks. Who's going to do a deal? Who's not going to do a deal? Whatever, right? The orange man's going to get some form of what he wants, and whatever is on Twitter or Truth, you don't know what he wants. But this whole thing like, oh my God, it's going to get passed on to consumers. It's going to be the end. Question isn't how much is a baby stroller at Walmart. The question is, do you have a job? Powell is focused on the cost of baby strollers at Walmart. He's not focused on the real issue. What else is new? Because he's a deep state tool. Other than that, I really don't have an opinion. U.S. debt is expected to hit $40 trillion this year. Okay? That would mark a $17 trillion increase in 6 years. This is a crisis. Or it's the biggest crypto moonshot ever. And the whole ecosystem is the bigger the base, the higher in the space. U.S. Uncle Sugar needs $3 trillion in 6 months. And that's the market update. That's it. That's all you need to know. Like, stealth bomber flying overhead. should fly it over the Fed's headquarters so that they wake up. You should see these stock market guys like, oh, we don't need to cut rates. Everything's fine. The stock market's at all-time high. We don't need to cut rates. Shut up. If you own NVIDIA, you don't need to cut rates. What about everybody else? Okay, 8 dormant Satoshi era wallets reactivated after 14 years, moving a total of $8.6 billion in Bitcoin since last night. Wow. Bitcoin moving around right as they sign the big, beautiful bill. What could that be about? Well, first, the rumor was Roger Ver, which is interesting because Bitcoin Cash was moving last week. Part of me was wondering, is Roger Ver about to go from Bitcoin to Bitcoin Cash? Okay, Friendly Neighborhood Clairvoyant said no. It could be miners moving it around. Now, I have no idea who it is, obviously. They could be moving it around to spook everybody. Like, seriously, like Altcoin Daily, the biggest group in crypto, guys I've met, totally respect, right? They were like, you know, it's like Satoshi era stuff, and it's implied with the movement, because this was their headline. It's implied with this movement that Bitcoin's going to get sold. It may not get sold. They may just be moving it around for a distraction to get you to hit it so that they can buy it, because we've seen this before. Oh my God, Bitcoin moves around. Okay. Now, if they are selling it, they're either selling it to Uncle Sugar or Michael Saylor over the counter. They're not dumping this into the open market, right? It's like, hey, anybody got $10 billion worth of Bitcoin? We need it right now. And you know what our Friendly Neighborhood Clairvoyant said? It could be the banks who want it. Okay. It could be the banks that want it and the miners who are selling it. Whales wake up for 14 years. 10K moved, 10,000 Bitcoin. It's all over the tape. Everyone freak out. Everyone sell. Everyone dump everything. Shut up. Okay, Elon starts a new political party. It gets 20% of the vote, mostly from former Republicans. Zoran becomes president. AOC puts Elon in prison. Elon says, yeah, pretty much. Okay. So we don't need a third party, just so you know, because they wouldn't call it the America Party. They would call it the Mars Mission Party. It's another tech bro that is throwing a tantrum because he didn't get what he wanted. He didn't get what he wanted. He wanted to go to Mars. Remember the inauguration when Trump talked about Mars and Elon was like, hey, yay, he was all giddy. Whatever. Okay. Bro, you'll get your 10 trillion to go to Mars, right? Because we'll have to leave the planet to get away from the robots you build, but whatever. And frankly, if this guy really wanted to rebel against the system, which I think could be next, is that shut up about the American Party. All it takes is one tweet and going, you know what? I'm sick of all this hyper spending. I'm buying $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. Boom. He's already got $1 billion worth. Why would that not happen? Can you imagine what that would ignite with the tech bros all having to follow Elon? Not to mention the general public. Like, you know, Michael Saylor can like Bitcoin. The Orange Man can like Bitcoin. But if Elon gets out all over the tape and go, you know what? I'm sick of this. I'm buying crypto. Right? Plus, if he does form the American Party, robot McAfee will win the nomination. Going to stick the McAfee chatbot into a robot operating system, and he can run for president. Better that than some tech bro. Speaking of McAfee, do you know that the intelligence community calls U.S. presidents transients? The deep state owns 99% of the government, rules everything, and you can't fire them. We have a two-party system for the purpose of dividing you. This whole right versus left, you know, MAGA versus Zoran, everyone freaking out, everyone divided, everyone hating each other. Wrong. Wrong, wrong, wrong. His people are bringing him back. You can't believe what these guys have, a roadmap that they publish, and they have more stuff underneath it. They got way more stuff. Why? Because everyone's going to wake up one day and realize that they need this. Not on Big Beautiful Bill Day, although it would be a good idea, because I can't wait to see how Uncle Sugar gets his $3 trillion. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait. And Ian Carroll is explaining the BlackRock conspiracy. You want to know who owns everything? Who owns us? They do. Yeah, they built the Bitcoin ETF. And sometimes that makes my skin crawl. Because we really and honestly forgot how evil they are. We forgot how evil they are. Now, their view about our currency, their view about where power lies going forward, they're making huge amounts of money on fees. But like, we need a declaration of independence from BlackRock. We need a declaration of independence from foreign lobbyists, right? Foreign countries who have massive influence over here. F that. F that and the horse they rode in on. 250 years of supposed independence, and we're still distracted. We're still distracted by the fanfare. You want a third party? I'll give you a third party. It's called the McAfee Party at Elon. I'll probably get 500 views. And I don't care. I don't care. Nick started out with nothing. What an inspiration that guy is with his attitude. Yeah, there's a lot of inflammatory rhetoric, but this is a 10-minute monologue about what Independence Day is really all about. And I could only hope to be that good. I could only hope to be that good. Bitcoin is going to blow through 250K so fast once Uncle Sugar finally sees the light. It's not going to be Uncle Sugar. Uncle Sugar will buy it when it's too late, right? It's going to be the corporations, because everyone is down on Bitcoin treasury companies. Boy, let me come off the screen share for this. So I listen to a podcast by a famous stock market short seller who most of the time has to be hedged and long because, you know, it's hard for stuff to go down. Hopefully he made a bunch of money lately. But of course, the people who he's after now are the Bitcoin treasury companies. He's long Bitcoin and short all these companies that go up 400% whenever they announce that they're buying Bitcoin. Now, I don't think that applies to MicroStrategy because MicroStrategy has so much Bitcoin, they got a moat around the a company. Nobody could ever get that much without disrupting the market. But it's amazing how negative everyone is about the treasury companies. Now, I know it's the innovator, Saylor, it's the imitator, Metaplanet, and now we may be marching our way to the idiot in terms of people buying. I mean, I saw one company buying Binance coin. Okay, but they are trying to protect themselves from a falling dollar. Like I even saw one of the smartest guys I know. He's like, you know what? Everyone is short the dollar in the FX market. And when everybody expects the same thing, something else happened. They're not going to be able to devalue the dollar in the fiat market because everybody already has the same position. All the investment banks are short the dollar. This is the same group of people who called for a recession in April. The only way to take the dollar lower in value, not blow up the dollar, not that. The only way to take it down is through gold, Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, and XRP. And you know what? It could also include Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin. Who knows? Who knows what normies are going to consider money? Who knows what normies are going to think money is at Christmas? Everybody's all down and making fun of Bitcoin treasury companies. What's going to happen when the takeover battle for those companies starts? And will you be long AF before that happens? Okay, so Mike thinks it's going to go up $1 million a year for the next 21 years. Okay, well, that's kind of a Mad Max sort of a world. But if nobody can issue debt unless it's backed by Bitcoin, that's how that happens. I don't know if Mike said that, but that's how it happens. And again, it's been said by RFKJ, right? I think the US government will be able to sell treasuries if in some small way it's backed by Bitcoin. And if that's the case, you're going to have massively higher prices, and you're going to have everyone standing around wondering why the entire decentralized universe basically trades at zero. Zero. Okay, Solana Staking Company, right? So Solana does nothing, but if a company buys Solana, the company's stock goes up. And this is a good reminder that the first trade is always wrong, right? Circle IPO, moonshot, right? Coinbase's stock, moonshot. Anybody who buys crypto as a company, moonshot, right? The excessive irrational exuberance is in equities while crypto languishes. Now, naturally, that's painful. And of course, that's why the trade is going to be so huge, because you can't stay in it. They wash you out. You don't want to do it. You get depressed. You read this whole sell the fact rhetoric on a holiday. It's ruining your barbecue. That's why we did the show today, not having any of that. Why doesn't the U.S. have a Bitcoin reserve yet? Well, who knows? These wallets that are getting moving around in this 10 billion could be the start of that. Could be miners moving money around because Uncle Sugar doesn't want to disrupt the market. They want to get as much Bitcoin as they can. Circle stock could set off an IPO friendlies, how to avoid getting burned, according to Barron's. Don't touch those crypto stocks. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, everyone is down on all these companies. Yeah, some of it may be a little bit excessive, but not the IPOs. What? Crypto can't raise money? AI companies can raise money. Dr. Coop, the Surgeon General, Pets.com raised money in 2000. You characters didn't have a problem with that. Why is it a problem now? Well, we know why it's a problem, because it's crypto. That's why it's a problem. Everybody loves crypto until crypto comes to eat their lunch. Traders pile into short positions. Let's all get short. Let's be bearish. Okay. You let me know how that works out when Uncle Sugar's got to buy $3 trillion before the end of the year. You let me know how that works out. Okay. Ondo cannot get involved in his tokenized assets. They're throwing money around trying to buy everybody that they can. Probably because BlackRock wants tokenized assets through them. Okay, more bullish Ethereum news. Everyone is leaving Base. Now, on one hand, you could be contrarian and say, well, that's bullish for ETH because everyone's giving up on Base. The other argument is that Solana could be bigger than anyone thinks, because stablecoins and DPIN could run on Solana, which is an under-discussed narrative. Patreon Platinum already knows all about it in the latest DPIN reports, where we narrow it down to 2 or 3 coins. That's what we do in Patreon Platinum. So when you have these blowout down days, my guys are standing down there taking what, the Gann model thinks is the future. Everybody giving up on Base is insane, because any coin on Base is going to have an expedited listing on Coinbase if they're smart enough to wake up. I don't know. Maybe they want to do stable coins only. I mean, what good is a crypto exchange if all they do is USDC and custody? Somebody's going to figure this out. And if they don't figure it out, Base Network will go away, and Arbitrum and Optimism will eat their lunch. We can only hope that they get the future of AI, the future of tech, and whatever else running on Base and then listed on Coinbase, versus listing big cap memes at the top in the early spring and late winter and dumping everything on retail. When Coinbase wants to get retail friendly, anytime now. Bitcoin on the brink of all-time highs as macro tailwinds gather strength. Sets the stage for a historic July, right? Historic July. Boom. Historic July. Boom. It's going to zero. Whoosh. Tobie calls it wobble. That's the environment that we're in. Bitcoin long-term holders aren't moving. They're not moving, right? No one's going to sell this stuff. No one, right? I don't even know why you would sell Ethereum, Solana, and XRP at all. XRP is going to get acquired. XRP is never going public. If XRP went public and did what Circle did, anybody who wants XRP, any tech bro out there that wants that, they're going to pay up, and they're going to pay up right now. Right? I mean, they're not even really developing their layer one. They just offered somebody like, oh, if you build something on our layer one, we'll give you a $200,000 grant. Right? The mechanism is there. The capital is not. And someone's just going to come in. I just swear to you, somebody's going to take the whole thing. Stupid to let that thing go public. It may, right? It may. You get a hot market, they go public, right? But undoubtedly, somebody out there doesn't want it. I mean, if XRP got hot, and this market got hot, and some bank decided to use XRP for cross-border payments, you'd pay $100 billion for XRP in the overall market. Because the company owns a ton of the cryptocurrency. They don't need a Bitcoin treasury company. They're already an XRP treasury company. Because of the amount that they hold centralized, which is why I think it's a takeover target. You don't have to go into the open market and buy all the currency. They already have it. That's just me. Okay. In other news, okay, flash flood in Texas. You want to know why Texas is great? Watch this guy. This is a guy. This is like 20, 30 minutes from where I live. That's a guy pulling someone out of a tree with a helicopter. I know we have our faults, but Texas is just awesome. First Bitcoin strategic reserve state. Hoorah. Okay, Sui. So annoying. Okay, we have a LuxAlgo triangle formation. We have the 200-day moving average. We have everyone puking out of it. And we just can't break out. So annoying. And you know what? You know what I say to that? Good. Good. They don't want us to break out. It doesn't break out. Good. It's hard to own it. Good. Good. Because as long as it doesn't collapse, it's just washing you all out. Oh, Bitcoin's moving around. Oh, no. Sell the fact. I mean, how many times have we seen this? How many times? Tobie calls it World War Z. How many times? How many times? It's a distraction. Right? That's what the guy that God bless this guy with 3 kids who's on, using the McAfee chatbot. God bless him for working hard to get you free. Free, right? Free. Okay, Bitcoin Cash. Now, Bitcoin Cash was moving before the market started at least a little bit of a rally. And I swear to God, I wanted it to be Roger Ver. I did. I was like, I was letting my imagination run away from me. I was like, oh my God, it's Roger Ver. He's getting pardoned. He's getting pardoned. Here it comes. He's getting all of his Bitcoin. He's going to switch it all to Bitcoin Cash right before he gets pardoned. And Tobie was like, no. Okay. Well, that said, okay, Bitcoin Cash broke out. Okay, there's bearish divergence here. In some ways, we just can't get a break on the charts. Right now, I would like it if Bitcoin Cash stayed here because it is a leader in the market. And if you look at the charts, right, there is a 13 and a 9 bottom on the monthly. Right, I'm frankly interested in this as a freedom coin. Right, in other words, who's after Bitcoin Cash? Could be the banks. Could be the banks. Right, it's cheaper than Bitcoin. It's obviously underperformed Bitcoin. And it's essentially the same as Bitcoin, except it just moves faster. Right? The weekly chart I mean, I know buying resistance has not paid. It doesn't pay. I mean, I keep saying that if it breaks out, it'll be huge. But every time you buy it against resistance, you're essentially violating the chart book and you get these 5% flushes like today. But I can dream a little dream. What happens if that monthly 13 bottom kicks in? And it's a good thing to show today because I'm so tired of the ETH FUD. You know, if you look at ETH on that monthly chart, that 13 bottom looms the same way it loomed up here before FTX fell out of bed. You know, it took them a while. It rallied and then it sat there and doing the same thing over here. We're just going back and forth in a range. I can tell when I post content, right? I post content, the market's going up. Everyone watches the content. Market stops going down. Everyone backs off, right? Meanwhile, what's actually happening here? Nothing. It's actually a confirmed 13 bottom. It's actually quite constructive. And if you look at Solana, this is a 90-minute chart of Solana. You have a 13 and a 9 bottom. Wow, they took it down below 150. Big Rich is probably like piling in. That's the intraday chart. Then you look at the daily chart. We still got this 13 bottom here. Now, we can't get it confirmed yet, but it's still there, right? I mean, you know, they're going to run everything on Solana, right? The validators sell to the ETF holders, and in the middle becomes the investors, right? It's like, you know, they're draining the supply off Solana so Solana can finally move. The Solana ETF is a big development. It's a big development if that happens, right? And I suspect with the Orange Man's meme coin running on Solana, why everyone's giving up on this, I just don't know, right? And again, Bitcoin Cash versus Bitcoin on a monthly chart. These 13 and 9 bottoms, they're everywhere. You imagine if a bank got involved in Bitcoin Cash? I mean, look. Somebody's been buying it. Somebody's buying it. I mean, I wanted to think that Roger Ver was going to get pardoned. So the Roger Ver meme coin effectively was moving. I wanted to think that. I want to think a lot of things. That's why we have the friendly neighborhood clairvoyant who looks at me and goes, yeah, no. But it is interesting that it has been on a steady upward climb. Is it due for a correction? Probably. But who bought all this all the way up? Everyone's like, you know, $10 billion worth of Bitcoin goes from one place to the other. Oh my God. But nobody can tell me why this is happening. A Roger Ver pardon, a bank, somebody getting involved, someone going to use it as a method of payment. It's got the same symbol as Bitcoin, just a different color. Fascinating that no one's talking about it. Actually, it's fascinating that nobody talks about any of the bullish catalysts in crypto. None of them. None. Zero. Okay. Live TA on some of the coins we recently talked about. I don't know. Let's go to 89 minutes. Okay. Artificial superintelligence token. Straight down. People just packing it in. Basically, it takes one down day for everybody in crypto to quit. That's the severity of the bear market, of this like winter that we got going on, right? Avalanche, right? 90 minutes. Somebody showed me how I can like write on the chart with actually having to type. Whoever that was, thank you. I have to look it up. Everybody in, everybody out. Right? Recover above the 62% retracement. You know, this coin is inside the Orange Man's portfolio at World Liberty. Indiscriminate selling. Indiscriminate. Look at Uniswap. Wow. 76% retracement of the recent move. this recovered above $7, you could have yourself a rally. Because, you know, they just got everybody out on sell the fact. Yeah, we don't need Uniswap. It's profitable. We don't need that because ETH is dead. I don't think ETH is dead. I think they could run all the finance on ETH and Solana. And I think DeFi is inevitable. I mean, Uncle Sugar is going to buy $3 trillion. And, you know, there are all kinds of other problems with, you know, banks, financial institutions. Jupiter down 5%. Good Lord. Look at what they did to people, right? You actually had excessive FOMO on the upside in Jupiter, and then they just dropped it and washed everyone out, right? This back and forth, back and forth. Oh, I mean, of course, it's massively discouraging. I mean, I get it, right? It's like, how do you figure this out? Now, one way I would say I'm figuring it out, to be honest, first of all, you know, again, you want to get in the YouTube member area and listen to Tobie, because listening to Tobie helps you not get sucked in. But the LuxAlgo buy signal in Jupiter is holding, right? There are buy signals that have not reversed yet. They have not reversed yet. And I continue to wonder about layer ones. Now, unfortunately, these things come to the top of the LuxAlgo triangle and they just can't get through it. So yeah, I understand, you know, the market can't break out for whatever reason. You know, maybe it has to do with Neptune or Saturn or some Gann work. You know, there's a lot of planets moving around. Neptune's moving around, which does breed volatility. I'm a trend following guy. So, you know, but range traders are currently eating everyone's lunch. Cisco looking for Pengu and syrup. Let's do it. Pengu. Big fan. Can't wait to see the lines at Walmart for Pengu toys at the end of the year with everyone FOMOing into this market. You got to ask yourself where Pengu is going to be at the end of the year. And we did this with Fibonacci speed resistance lines, which is what you do when you have the bigger the base, the higher in the space. You're looking for where you break out from these things with volume. Share the screen. Thank you. Okay, breaks out, 14 cents. Don't get much of a retrace. Boom. 0.023 next. Again, Solana, right? Syrup. Syrup was one of these coins that was indiscriminately mooning. Showing this up 5% today on a 4-hour chart. And what these things do is a lot of times they go to their premium zone and then they come off. And at that point, that's where you're supposed to buy it, when they come off. Right? So syrup gets to its premium zone, like on the 4-hour chart. Equilibrium's at 49 cents. And notice how they just completely dropped it, right? Like when these things go down, they go down so hard, it scares you to death. Now, I don't know if this is like stakers or whoever selling this. But the thing that's really funny about syrup, if you look at it on the daily chart, I know this is a new coin, But really, equilibrium is at 60 cents, and the premium zone is all the way up at $1. You got a lot of room in DeFi. I know a guy who's in the Clearpool, right? If you look at RWA, I mean, clearly the market prefers syrup at the moment. But if you looked at other real W asset RWA plays, the bigger the base, the higher into space. That's what this is becoming. And this was a hallmark of the 2019 bottom, the 2022 bottom, and most likely the 2025 bottom. Like, this is the time to zoom out, because what do you think is going to happen to Clearpool or any of these coins? This looks like the entire market. The whole market looks like this. What do you think is going to happen? Like Gann would say, if you had the energy to go up like this, that energy does not go away. Pengu is demonstrating that right now. So what is going to happen in these companies, in these characters? Okay. Okay. Request for MicroStrategy. Okay. So in MicroStrategy, everyone in legacy is shorted. Everyone, right? He made a switch. That's Marathon Digital, by the way. That's breaking out. Somebody bring T-Bone off from the barbecue to check that chart out. These Bitcoin miners, man. That uptrade is going to be freaking spectacular, especially after watching this like circle hootenanny. Okay. So MicroStrategy has a LuxAlgo buy signal. MicroStrategy is above its equilibrium. I don't know how anybody accounts for what this company is actually worth. Everyone's like, well, he wants to measure the value of the Bitcoin based on how much the Bitcoin goes up. And there's this big debate. All I know is the premium zone in this is 536. And I think the point about Michael Saylor that everyone forgets, that this guy used to work with, he makes this point. Who is ever going to be able to imitate what he does? And what happens if effectively he has hedged all of his investors from a devaluation in fiat currency? I mean, in the United States, they have to borrow $3 trillion. Okay. We're doing state-owned grocery stores in Manhattan so normal people can get food, which is sad. It's like the bread lines from the Depression. In Europe, make the wrong post on social media, and you meet guys with badges. How do you protect yourself against this? Well, pension funds know. Michael Saylor wants to issue paper. Oh, we'll take that. Like, yeah, there are imitators and idiots doing the same thing. But like, this guy's got the marquee brand, right? And he said this, like everyone that he brings onto the network, $1, $100, whatever, anybody he gets onto the network, in his words, he's going to make those people rich. He's onboarding people to a network and protecting them against any problem with fiat or bonds. And one of the best tweets that I've seen is that the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve one day could be Uncle Sugar knocking on his door and saying, Mike, sorry, your company has been nationalized and your company is now the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. Let me write you a check. Enjoy the golf course. That's how special I think MicroStrategy is. I mean, the guy's put his money where his mouth is. So all the hedge funds are short. And I can tell you this, and I have said this before. Japanese pension funds are doing white papers The biggest pension fund in the world is doing a white paper on Bitcoin involvement. They need to hurry up and do their white paper. Insurance companies, pension funds are buying all of the preferred stock. A preferred stock is a hybrid between regular stock and a bond. Pension funds and mutual funds are gobbling that stuff up. They're gobbling his stock up, MicroStrategy. And of course, all the hedge funds are shorted. Let me spare you having to read a book. What is the history of mutual funds and pension funds versus hedge funds? Let me give you a hint. The pension funds never sell and the hedge funds all get destroyed, right? It's called a hedge fund hotel. Mainly when all the hedge funds have the same position, you get a monster blowout. Like here's NASDAQ. See this drop right here? Yeah, that's everybody. That's all the hedge fund hotels getting completely wiped out to the point where, you know, everyone changed their narrative to recession. And what's really funny, what's really hysterical is that the hedge fund hotels are back. They're like, okay, let's move into the 22 stocks that made an all-time high. 5,000 stocks in the U.S. stock market, 22 made a new high. The hedge fund hotels are back. Barron's, you know, is all giddy. Oh, stocks are up. We don't need to cut rates. Everything's fine. Okay, guys. Okay. You know, you look at where stonks are, and then you look at the Ethereum ETF, you know, which they can't stop selling. First, they were buying it because it was cheap. And now NASDAQ backs up, goes back up, and everyone's dumping the Ethereum ETF. There's Ethereum 66% away from its premium zone, with everyone leaving base like it's over. And here's NASDAQ up here. Business is so good, Microsoft's laying everybody off. You know, someone explain this to me. I mean, stonks are so vertical, it's actually hard to show it all on one screen. Meanwhile, there's like topping signals everywhere. Everywhere in this stuff. Look at this. Oh my God, I can't get enough. I got to buy it in the premium zone on the 4-hour chart after it went up only. I mean, nobody wanted it. Nobody wanted it at 347, but you know, at 500, it's much more attractive. Do you see the folly in all this? This is when you break out your McAfee stuff and say, are you really free? Because I got news for you. The guys who control you or want to control you, more than the sovereigns, more than the lobbyists, it's these characters. Like when you get involved in crypto, when you hold on to your Bitcoin, when you buy the dip, when you get involved in antivirus, you find a privacy corner, you find whatever works for you, man. If Pengu works for you, do it. Double do it, right? You know why? Because your kids are going to ask you, hey, mom, dad, what were you doing when Bitcoin was only at 100K? Tell me you were hoovering it all up. You know, all these people say, wow, I wish I would have Bitcoin. I wish I bought Bitcoin at $100. You realize that the people who hodled it, they hodled it through multiple 80 to 90% drops. I mean, it went from 20,000 to 3K. And when it was at 3K, it looked like it was going to zero. It felt like it was going to zero after FTX. It was at 16K. Everyone's like, I'm not touching this. It's going to 10. Whoosh. No, actually, BlackRock's going to buy it, and it's going to go to 33K. What were you doing the day that they signed the big, beautiful bill? As much as I like the patriotic moment, as much as I like the stealth bomber flying overhead, what were you doing when they went off the fiscal cliff? Well, I was selling Bitcoin because I was afraid it was not going to be able to break the 200-day moving average. No, that is not the answer. The answer is to get up in the face of those who would hold you back and say, you know what? I'm not doing this. Back in 1776, You know, anybody who's ever seen the Mel Gibson movie, you know, you needed a musket that gave one shot. That's what you had. You had to charge at like a professional army. That's what you had to do in 1776. What do you have to do today? This is your musket, right? This revolution is brought to you by people with the green button. No musket needed. Even Nick says that. You got to have a sharp wit. Yeah, you know, you may feel like you need a musket, but you don't. You need crypto. You need privacy. You need sovereignty in the form of your keys. And you don't run away when it's down just because it's down. Yeah, I know it's winter. I got it. But don't let this scare you away. Because in 2050, you'll be much happier. And trust me, after you read Digital Dominion by Tobie Ward, you won't be running scared from 5% drops. Trust me. It's $9 for the ebook. Take a shot if you got $9. Okay, people, that is the market update today. We appreciate your business, customers. Go barbecue, go enjoy, go be happy, become independent. We'll see you Monday.